Years ago, I used to struggle with getting my vocals to sit in a mix and feel part of the song. And I had a producer friend who gave me this amazing tip once that completely solved the problem for me. And I wanted to share it with you today. The issue I find most people have with vocal compression is, and I certainly once had, is that it can be quite hard to keep control of the dynamics. What I mean is, you might not compress too much because you want to keep the vocals sounding natural, but then you lose some of the quieter elements into the mix, and then you try and turn the vocal up a bit just to try and not lose those, but then suddenly it's too loud and it's dominating the mix. So then you try to solve that by perhaps compressing a bit more, and suddenly it just sounds overcompressed and lifeless and not natural at all. So how do we solve that? Well, the tip I got from my producer friend is to use two compressors in series, and you have one taming the transients and one just dealing with the leveling. It's a great trick. I'm going to show you now. So here's a good example of the vocal chain I like to use. I always use an 1176 style FET compressor. So in this case, the Wes Audio NG76, and that's going to feed into the input of an optical compressor, in this case, the Heritage Audio Tube Sessa. So why two compressors? Well, if you're just using one compressor, I find that it's quite hard to get just one compressor to sound completely natural while also maintaining enough compression to make the vocal sit in the mix. You know, if you use a bit too much, it just feels unnatural and not enough, and then you can't get a good balance over everything and you lose words in the song, or you have to make the vocal sound too loud. So the way to achieve this kind of great mix on a vocal is I use the FET compressor to just tame the transient data of the vocal. So I'm going to capture the transient stuff, I'm going to capture the consonants and the plosives, and even just some of the louder moments of the vocal. And then that's going to feed into the optical compressor, and obviously because those bits have been tamed by the FET compressor, the optical compressor can then do what it does best, and that's just level everything, keep it really smooth, keep it silky, and just keep everything in control, make it feel balanced and sit in the mix really, really naturally. So let's have a look at the settings we used to attain this now. On the FET compressor, I'm going to always use the 4:1 ratio. I find I never need more than that on a vocal. I'm going to set the attack and the release as fast as they will go. On a real 1176 or any of the other various recreations, that you quite often see that listed as 1 to 7, 7 being fastest, so just set to that. And then all I've got to do is set the input to achieve the amount of compression I want, and the output to just set the level right so when I bypass it doesn't change too much. So with the input control, what I'm going to be looking to do is on the VU meter, basically on the quieter moments of the vocal, I don't want that to move at all. I don't need to compress them, they're already quiet. I just want to use it just to capture those louder moments. So let's just get into that now and see how that sounds.
If you told me you want to run away, I wouldn't give myself a chance to hesitate.
So to me that's perfect. You notice on those quieter moments the needle was at 0 and it was only the other bits it was really moving down. Not loads of compression, but as we get later into the track there are the louder moments and the FET compressor will become far more active. So from there let's move on to the optical compressor. What we want to achieve here is just this nice leveling. We don't have to go too fast with anything, and similar to other compressors like this we can use well-known settings for this. So we're going to set the attack to essentially something like 2 o'clock and the release to about 10 o'clock, and then make sure we are on manual mode, because fixed mode on this product basically has a very set attack and release settings. The fixed manual has got a fixed attack and then you can control the release, and the manual gives us full control over the whole sort of attack and release times. From here all I need to do is set the ratio, which some people like to go about 50% up, which is probably 5:1. I like a little less than that. I'd like to keep it sounding a little more natural for this kind of music. Perhaps if the song was a more aggressive rock track or something, I might go a bit more into the ratio level and just get that a bit more kind of controlled. But now all I've got left to do is play around with the threshold and gains and make that work. So let's have a listen to that now.
Give myself a chance to hesitate.
Okay, I think that's a good start. So let's just have a quick listen now with bypassing the optical compressor and just seeing how that controls some of these words. So what you'll hear is a couple of the words in this first line I know tend to jump out a little bit, even with the FET compressor running. So let's just have a quick listen. Yeah, the words run away there kind of just poke out a little bit, and the whole vocal just feels a little bit up and down, a little bit uncontrolled. So if we pop on the optical compressor, and you'll feel how just so much more smooth this whole thing feels, and just it's like the vocalist is given a much more confident performance. Check it out.
If you told me you want to run away, I wouldn't give myself a chance to hesitate. Nor would I concern myself with thoughts involving someone else, just you, just you.
This tip made a huge difference to my mixing, and I hope it does to yours as well. If you find it works well for you, or if you've got any similar tips that you want to share with us, please let us know in the comments. In the meantime, if you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe to our channel if you want to see more like this. See you again.